Schools shut down across Augusta County, Virginia today. Some 10,000 students told to stay home out of an abundance of caution. The reason on the district's website: voluminous phone calls and electronic mail objecting to the world geography curriculum. Outrage spreading after students were asked to copy an Arabic phrase which translates to "There is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger."
Why couldn't we just learn to write hello, goodbye, normal words?
The stated goal was to gain an appreciation for the beauty of the calligraphy. Some angry parents saw it as preaching Islam to their children.
I will not have my children set under a woman who indoctrinates them with the Islam religion when I am a Christian, and I want to stand behind Christ.
The school district says the course has been taught for years, and in a statement insisted the phrase, quote, was not translated for students, nor were students asked to translate it, recite it, or otherwise adopt or pronounce it as a personal belief. But many weren't buying that. In fact, Sheriff Randy Fisher told Out Front that the district has been inundated with emails telling us they were, quote, very hateful, very threatening, and profane, including pictures of beheadings.
Well, a plumber in Texas has certainly been anxious to tell anyone who will listen that he is not selling vehicles to ISIS.
It was just such a shock when it happened. I didn't know what to say.
When Houston area plumbing company owner Mark Oberholzer sold his truck to a local dealer in October of 2013, he had no idea it would wind up on Syria's front lines being used by Islamist fighters, with his plumbing company name and phone number still on the side.
It hurts my feelings that anyone could possibly think that we were connected to terrorism anyway.
He says he was assured by the dealership it would remove his information before selling the truck, but there it was in the photo, which then went viral.
That country is going down the toilet, but for the first time, they know who to call to unclog it.
It was featured on the last episode of The Colbert Report, seen by millions of people last year. Since then, Oberholzer says he's had threats and thousands of phone calls like this one.
What the is going on? Selling your truck to ISIS? Who did that? That's not right.
Here's how the truck left the country. Oberholzer sold the truck to an AutoNation dealership in Houston, which sent it to an auction near Dallas. Then a used car dealer, Maz Auto, bought the truck, the manager confirms, with the lettering still on it, and advertised it for sale on their website. Manager Mohammed Al-Kawam told us someone then called from an international phone number to buy it for use in Turkey.
He wired the money and he arranged for shipping, and that was it. The car ended up being shipped to Turkey.
It's not known exactly how the truck then made its way from Mersin, Turkey to Syria.
I used to have Mark 1 Plumbing Inc. would come up on the internet. Now it comes up Mark 1 Plumbing Inc. ISIS.
He's only 19 and lives with his parents in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But the FBI says Jalil Ibn Amir Aziz tried to help others travel to Syria to join ISIS, that he used 57 Twitter accounts to encourage violence against the U.S., including one message threatening to behead President Obama. And when authorities searched Aziz's home, they found what they called a tactical backpack with a knife and assault rifle magazines.
High-capacity magazines loaded. Obviously, the weapon wasn't found at this point, but it's those type of things and the rhetoric that he's using that draws concern.
Aziz's lawyer has no comment. In upstate New York, 31-year-old food store owner Mufid Elfki pleaded guilty to providing material support to ISIS. Officials say he was a recruiter. In Maryland, prosecutors say 30-year-old Mohammed El-Shinawi planned a terrorist attack from only about 60 miles away from the nation's capital. They're charging El-Shinawi with attempting to provide material support to ISIS. Federal authorities say he received almost $9,000 through wire transfers and remittance services like PayPal from an operative overseas.
He received money from an ISIL terrorist who wanted him to carry out terrorist acts in the United States.
He had $8,700. What could he have done with that?
Look, you could probably carry out a shooting spree, not unlike what we saw in San Bernardino or perhaps in Paris.
In another case, one man was arrested and charged at the San Francisco airport just as he was about to board a plane for Turkey. In 1 week, a total of 4 cases in the U.S. of people charged or who pleaded guilty to supporting terrorists. Most of the cases are connected to ISIS, which, according to a new report, has unprecedented levels of support inside America.
The connectivity that social media provides is something completely new, and that accelerates the radicalization process, because the intensity of being able to speak with somebody who's fighting and that person is talking to you, it's something that has a lot of power.
According to court documents, Mohammed El-Shinawi's ISIS handler didn't specify what weapons to buy or how to conduct an attack, but did provide an example: the failed attempt to shoot up a Prophet Muhammad cartoon drawing contest in Garland, Texas last May.
The release of videos showing the deadly shootings of blacks in Chicago by white police officers has protesters on the streets demanding police accountability.
How many shots? 15 shots.
But unbeknownst to many, the police union is in a legal fight with the city of Chicago to have decades worth of police misconduct records destroyed.
I protect all of my members, and I will continue to do that.
The Fraternal Order of Police, or FOP, is arguing breach of the bargaining agreement with the city of Chicago, which says, in part, all disciplinary investigation files will be destroyed 5 years after the date of the incident, 7 for allegations of excessive force.
You want to talk about a bonfire, stuff going up in smoke.
University of Chicago law professor Craig Futterman is fighting the destruction of records, which include allegations for excessive use of force, illegal searches, and unlawful arrests.
Basically, they bargained away transparency and accountability. So police contracts need to be changed.
Futterman recently won a 10-year battle over the release of just a fraction of police misconduct records, which date back half a century, which show Jason Van Dyke, the officer charged with Laquan McDonald's murder, had 19 complaints before shooting and killing the teen, including 10 for use of force. The officer who shot and killed Cedric Chapman, 30 complaints, including 10 for use of force. None of the complaints for either officer resulted in disciplinary action. Futterman filed an emergency stop on the destruction of records, with the judge ruling all parties involved must get a 2-week notice before records are destroyed. The FOP declined CNN's request for an interview, saying that the matter is still in litigation. But the FOP did grant an interview to a local CNN affiliate recently.
I don't understand why a 77-year-old retiree's complaint in 1967 needs to be on a database.
It's not just history, it's about who's currently working, and it shows also the cost of the failure to address patterns of abuse.
Patterns and practices that are now being investigated by the U.S. DOJ. But protesters are concerned that if the FOP gets its way, the feds won't get a full picture of police misconduct in Chicago.
Cigarette smoking among teenagers is at its lowest level since the government's Monitoring the Future survey began in the 1970s. Researchers say 5.5% of high school seniors smoke, down from 10.7% in 2010. Alcohol use also dropped significantly, while the use of e-cigarettes and hookahs remains high. The number of teens smoking marijuana hasn't changed, although researchers were startled to find 6% of high school seniors smoke it every day.
That surprises me that more kids are getting high on marijuana on a daily basis than smoking cigarettes.
Despite the ongoing opioid overdose epidemic, the number of teenagers abusing prescription painkillers continue to decline. A decade ago, 1 in 10 high school seniors reported abusing prescription opioids. Now that number is 1 in 20.
These are the painkillers that have been killing so many people in this country, and teenagers seem to be getting the message that these are dangerous drugs.
Heroin use is also at the lowest rate since the survey began, but abuse of the stimulant Adderall, which is typically given for ADHD, remains high.
This is the result of a motorcyclist hitting a rope at about 50 kilometres an hour. His neck bloodied and burned.
When I hit the rope, it was roughly in the middle of my neck. And it the rope flicked around to the back of my neck, and as I rode through, pulled across and left the burns.
19-year-old Lawson was on his way home from work last night, travelling along Wellington Street when it happened. He managed to crawl to the curb but was set upon by a gang of children who'd apparently set the trap. He says most of them were around 13 or 14 years old. Then he was hit over the head with a glass bottle.
Maybe they had sort of malicious intentions, maybe they just wanted to hurt somebody, I don't know. But I'm personally prepared to give them the benefit of the doubt. They were pretty young after all. Maybe they just didn't appreciate the consequences of their actions.
It's believed the rope was attached to this post and strung across the street, pulled tight. The rider was travelling east at around 11:30 last night when he was struck. Despite this incident happening right in the middle of the city, it appears to be a CCTV black spot. No cameras from the City of Perth or the Public Transport Authority captured the incident. 2 transit guards ran to Lawson from the train station and gave first aid before he was taken to hospital, where he received 6 staples to his scalp. Police are still hunting the attackers. They're described simply as juveniles.
How do you process something like this? You kind of can't really. This doesn't make any sense.
Anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers. El Mitaros, 9
Theme
News.
parks across the country are beefing up security. Guests being screened through metal detectors like these at Universal Studios and Disney World in Orlando. SeaWorld officials say they're adding metal detector screenings ahead of the busy holiday rush as well, and not everyone's getting in. Excited Star Wars fan Kyle Bach was told to turn around because of his Jedi accessories.
They told me I couldn't bring my lightsaber in for security reasons.
What do you think of that?
It's understandable, I suppose. I mean, obviously I'm not going to do anything crazy with it, but it is made out of metal. I suppose, anything could be a weapon.
The Jedi was allowed to return as soon as he put the sci-fi weapon back in his car.
I mean, it's probably just a response to violence, period. I don't even think it's like a gun problem or anything like that. It's just a violence problem. So yeah, they're just adding security because of the apparent violence in the world.
Disney is taking security a few steps further. Some guests will be subject to a second random screening. They've also banned the sale of toy guns and prohibit visitors over the age of 14 from wearing costumes into its parks.
I think the terrorist attacks, while scary, I think it's such a small rate of incident that I don't think we have anything to worry about. I think the security measures they're taking are pretty much normal across the board, even if they were just implemented. And I think all they're doing is trying to prevent any occurrences.
Do you think it's sad, the state of affairs we're in?
Yes. Yeah. You just gotta watch out for other people who are around you.
Officials at the Orlando parks wouldn't specify how long the increased security screenings would be in place.